Kristi Noem has sent shockwaves through the nation this Halloween with a statement so startling that it has left citizens, journalists, and even members of her own administration speechless. Earlier today, during an intense and highly scrutinized press briefing held in Washington, D.C., the former South Dakota governor, now serving as Secretary of Homeland Security under the Trump administration, announced a nationwide surge in ICE operations set to unfold throughout the Halloween weekend. With her usual stern tone and steely expression, Noem declared that Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents would be out in full force to ensure what she called law and order in every neighborhood. Her timing couldn't have been more unsettling. As millions of families across America prepare for the beloved tradition of trick-or-treating, her words injected an unexpected dose of dread into what is normally a night of joy, laughter, and community. The announcement, made under the banner of public safety, immediately drew outrage and disbelief from reporters in the room. Many questioned the necessity and morality of such an operation on a night meant for children. "This is not the time for fear tactics," one journalist shouted, as Noem exited the stage without taking further questions. Within minutes, the internet exploded with reactions. Some citizens called the move the scariest Halloween story ever, while others accused the administration of turning a family holiday into a political stunt. Civil rights advocates immediately condemned the decision, calling it a violation of community trust and warning that it could lead to dangerous confrontations. "Sending armed agents into neighborhoods filled with children is reckless," said attorney Maria Estrada, who has represented several clients in previous ICE raids. "You can't claim to protect Americans while terrifying them at the same time." Political analysts suggest the announcement may be part of a broader strategy to signal toughness on immigration ahead of next year's election season. However, the public response so far indicates the move may backfire spectacularly. Parents are expressing fear about sending their kids door to door, and local police departments in multiple states have already reported a surge in calls from concerned residents asking whether ICE agents will be operating in their area. Halloween, once associated with harmless spooks and sweet treats, has suddenly taken on a darker tone, one where the real monsters might not be in costumes. Reporters leaving the press briefing described the atmosphere as tense, almost surreal, noting that Noem appeared unapologetic despite the growing backlash from many Americans. Her words today may change the way they see Halloween forever. What began as a simple safety announcement has turned into a nationwide storm of fear, confusion, and political outrage. This Halloween, it seems, the scariest masks are not the ones worn by children but by those in power. Just moments after Kristi Noem's explosive Halloween announcement, the press briefing room turned into a battlefield of questions, disbelief, and outrage. Reporters demanded answers about what exactly the Homeland Security Secretary meant when she said ICE would be stepping up operations. The tone of the room was electric, filled with tension and disbelief. "Are American citizens being detained?" one reporter shouted over the noise. Without hesitation, Noem fired back, her voice sharp and unwavering. "No American citizens have been arrested. Any report suggesting otherwise are false and misleading." Her tone was confident, almost defiant, but the truth began to unravel within hours. Across the nation, videos started to flood social media, painting a very different picture from Noem's calm denial. On TikTok, a video showing ICE agents stopping cars in a quiet suburban neighborhood gained over 5 million views within a few hours. The footage shows uniformed officers demanding identification from drivers, some of whom appeared terrified and confused. In one particularly viral clip, a man nervously hands over his US ID card, only to be ordered out of the vehicle as officers continue to question him. Viewers described the scene as chilling, comparing it to dystopian movies rather than real life in America. These videos directly contradicted Noem's official statement, leaving many wondering whether she was unaware of the scale of ICE's actions, or deliberately misleading the public. Civil rights organizations wasted no time responding. The ACLU called the scenes deeply disturbing and unconstitutional, demanding an immediate investigation. Immigration lawyers also began reporting an influx of emergency calls from families worried that their relatives had been detained. By the evening, the outrage had reached a fever pitch. News anchors across multiple networks debated whether the government had lost control of its agencies. "This isn't about security," one analyst said during a live broadcast. "It's about fear. They've turned Halloween into a federal operation." Meanwhile, Noem's office released a brief follow-up statement on X, claiming that the circulating videos were taken out of context and part of a coordinated misinformation campaign. But few seem to believe that explanation. "Our kids can't even trick-or-treat without being scared of flashing lights and government badges," one mother said tearfully during a live interview. The pressure continued to mount as lawmakers from both parties called for transparency. Some Republican senators distanced themselves from Noem's remarks, warning that her approach could damage public trust in law enforcement. Despite this, Noem stood firm, refusing to back down or apologize. Her denial only fueled the outrage further, transforming what could have been a minor political controversy into a full-blown national crisis. By nightfall, one thing was clear: the government's Halloween message was no longer about safety, it was about control, fear, and a growing divide between those who enforce the law and those forced to live in its shadow. As panic spreads across communities nationwide, the human stories behind Kristi Noem's Halloween crackdown are beginning to emerge, raw, emotional, and deeply unsettling. For many, this isn't just a policy gone wrong, it's a terrifying reality that has shattered their sense of safety. Among the first to come forward was a construction worker named Yenzi Machado, whose story quickly went viral after he shared it with a local news outlet. Machado described how his morning began like any other. He was driving to a job site just before sunrise when flashing lights appeared behind his truck. Within seconds, multiple unmarked vehicles surrounded him. They shouted for me to throw my keys out and step out of the truck, he recalled, still visibly shaken. I told them I was an American citizen and showed them my real ID, but they didn't care. They cuffed me anyway. According to Machado, the agents refused to explain why he was being stopped and instead questioned him about his birthplace and family. The encounter lasted nearly 30 minutes before he was finally released, without apology or explanation. They treated me like a criminal for existing, he said. I was scared for my life. His story, unfortunately, is not an isolated case. In the last 48 hours, civil rights lawyers say they've received dozens of calls from individuals who claim they were wrongfully detained, harassed, or questioned during ICE's so-called Halloween safety operations. Many of these individuals are U.S. citizens or legal residents, stopped not because of any crime, but seemingly because of their appearance. One woman from Arizona recounted how agents knocked on her door late at night, demanding to see identification for everyone inside. My children were crying, she said, and I had to explain to them that we did nothing wrong. Another witness, a delivery driver from Texas, said his van was searched without a warrant while he was dropping off packages in a residential area. The pattern is disturbingly consistent: fear, confusion, and a sense of powerlessness. Legal experts argue that what's unfolding may amount to racial profiling and unconstitutional enforcement. When the government starts targeting people based on how they look rather than what they've done, it's no longer law enforcement, it's discrimination, said immigration attorney David Salazar during an emergency press conference. Across social media, clips and testimonials are spreading faster than officials can respond. Community organizers are urging citizens to film encounters and share them publicly, turning fear into resistance. Yet, behind every video is a person whose trust in the system has been broken. What was once a night meant for candy and costumes has become, for many, a nightmarish reminder of how fragile freedom can feel. For those like Machado, the message from this Halloween is painfully clear: the ghosts people fear aren't imaginary, they wear badges, carry authority, and move in silence long after the cameras stop rolling. The political storm following Kristi Noem's Halloween ICE operation has reached new heights, igniting fierce debate across party lines and sending shockwaves through Washington. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker became one of the first prominent leaders to publicly condemn Noem's actions, demanding that Homeland Security immediately suspend its Halloween enforcement campaign. Speaking at a televised press conference earlier today, Pritzker didn't hold back. "This isn't law enforcement, it's terrorizing families," he declared, his voice filled with anger. No American should have to fear government agents while their children are out collecting candy. His words echoed across social media and news outlets within minutes, sparking national conversations about civil liberties, government overreach, and the morality of targeting communities during a family holiday. Other Democratic leaders soon followed, calling the crackdown heartless and politically motivated. Yet, instead of retreating, Kristi Noem struck back with even more defiance. Appearing on Fox News just hours later, she doubled down on her earlier statements, calling Pritzker's comments a complete lie and accusing Democrats of trying to weaken border security for political gain. "We're protecting American citizens from criminals," Noem said sharply. "If he doesn't like it, he can change the laws." Her blunt remarks instantly dominated headlines, solidifying her image as a hardline defender of the Trump administration's immigration policies. Within the Republican Party, reactions were mixed. Some conservatives praised Noem's tough stance, calling her a warrior for law and order. Others, however, warned that her Halloween operation risked alienating suburban voters already uneasy about aggressive immigration tactics. Political strategist Mark Reynolds told CNN, "Noem may be playing to Trump's base, but she's also scaring the very moderates Republicans need to win elections. Advising residents to document every interaction with federal agents, warning that the combination of widespread fear, high tension, and lack of clear communication could lead to legal violations and dangerous confrontations. Amidst the tension, local law enforcement officers report being inundated with calls from anxious citizens seeking guidance on how to navigate neighborhoods where ICE operations are occurring. Many officers express frustration, noting that the federal presence is creating confusion and fear rather than promoting security. In suburban communities, where children normally roam streets in costumes accompanied by families, the sight of marked and unmarked vehicles patrolling neighborhoods has prompted parents to cancel plans or remain inside with their children. Reports are emerging of families keeping children home from parties, carving pumpkins quietly indoors instead of attending community events, and using video calls to share Halloween experiences in place of the traditional door-to-door celebrations. The psychological impact is profound. Children who once associated Halloween with harmless spooks and playful fright are now exposed to the stress and anxiety generated by federal enforcement. Experts warn that these encounters could have lasting effects on children's sense of safety and trust in authority. Meanwhile, videos capturing the fear and confusion have gone viral, further amplifying the nationwide sense of unease. Across the country, families are sharing their stories, images, and first-hand accounts online, making this Halloween less about fantasy and more about the stark reality of living under constant scrutiny.